Prince Charming, introduced as the villain of Shrek 2, is one of the most memorable characters in the franchise. With his impeccable appearance and attitudes befitting a Prince Charming, he quickly becomes Shrek's direct adversary, trying to steal both Fiona's heart and the throne of Far, Far Away. Despite his egocentric and narcissistic personality, what really stands out is the mystery surrounding his origin. While his mother, the fairy godmother, is a dominant figure in the story, Charming's father is never mentioned or appears in the plot. This has opened the door to countless fan speculations, with two particularly intriguing theories gaining traction. From her first appearance in Shrek 2, the fairy godmother proves to be one of the most powerful figures in the kingdom. She's not just a potion maker, she is someone who manipulates and controls events in her favor, using magic to shape the fate of those around her. This raises the suspicion that she could have used her powers not just to transform, but to create. The theory that Charming was magically created by his mother begins with this premise. First, we must consider the role of the fairy godmother as a literal fairy godmother. Her job is to turn wishes into reality, and who better to represent the desires of a power-hungry and ambitious mother than a perfect son? Charming can be seen as the embodiment of his mother's ideals, physically beautiful, charismatic, and with all the qualities one would expect from a fairy tale prince. However, these qualities are so extreme that it's hard not to think he was designed to be this way. Charming's obsession with following the hero and Prince Charming archetype seems almost exaggerated, as if something artificial is embedded in his personality. He behaves like a classic fairy tale character, to the point where it seems he's been programmed to act this way. This can be interpreted as an indication that he was created, not born. Thus, instead of developing these characteristics throughout his life, he may have been shaped by magic from the very beginning. Another clue that supports this theory is the absolute control the fairy godmother seems to exert over him. Charming follows her orders without question, and the bond between mother and son is, in a way, oppressive. It's almost as if he is an extension of his mother, a creation molded to fulfill her dreams of power. The fairy godmother's use of advanced magic and potions in the film also suggests that her powers go beyond small transformations. She can alter the very fabric of reality, which possibly includes the creation of life. Finally, if Charming was created by magic, this would also explain some of his emotional weaknesses. Although he is confident in his appearance and abilities, there is an emptiness in his personality that shows in his obsession with being adored and recognized. He constantly seeks external validation and power, as if trying to fill a void in his existence. This type of emptiness could be the result of being a magical creation without a true human essence. While the theory that Charming was created by the fairy godmother's magic is quite intriguing, there's another, even darker and more dramatic possibility, that Charming is, in fact, the product of an affair between the fairy godmother and the former king of Far, Far Away, Queen Lilian's husband and Fiona's father. This theory suggests that Charming is an illegitimate child, which would not only explain the fairy godmother's obsession with ensuring he takes the throne, but also his connection to royalty and his influence over the kingdom's events. To start, it's important to note how much control the fairy godmother has over the Far, Far Away court. Her influence over King Harold is significant, to the point of manipulating him to try to marry Fiona to Charming. This raises the question, why does King Harold obey her so blindly? Of course, the film suggests that he owes the fairy godmother favors because of an old deal, but what if this debt were actually much more personal? The closeness between them could be explained not just by a trade of favors, but by a past relationship. If the fairy godmother and the former King Harold had an affair before his marriage to Lilian, this would explain several things. First, the fairy godmother's fixation on putting Charming on the throne. If Charming were, in fact, the biological son of King Harold, the fairy godmother would have a personal justification for ensuring that her illegitimate son finally assumed his rightful place in royalty, even if that meant betraying Fiona, the legitimate heir. In this theory, Charming would have grown up believing that he was destined to marry a princess and become king, never knowing the full truth about his origins. The fairy godmother, in turn, might have fed these beliefs to protect the secret of her betrayal, keeping Charming focused on his goals and away from questioning his roots. Throughout his life, Charming would have been raised to see himself as the perfect prince, never realizing that his legitimacy to the throne was, in fact, deeply tied to a hidden scandal. King Harold's figure also adds weight to this theory. At the beginning of Shrek 2, Harold shows reluctance in supporting Fiona's marriage to Shrek, but his resistance seems more complex than just disdain for Shrek being an ogre. One could argue that Harold was afraid of what Fiona's marriage would mean for Charming and the fairy godmother's plans. Perhaps he felt guilty for what he had done in the past and wanted to prevent Charming, his illegitimate son, from knowing the truth. Furthermore, this theory also adds a layer of tragedy to King Harold's character. He may have kept the secret of his affair with the fairy godmother for years, feeling the weight of betrayal both to his wife Lillian and to his daughter Fiona. This would explain his colder and more distant attitude towards Charming, and the reason why he seems much more emotionally connected to Fiona and her fate. Harold, perhaps, felt that he needed to make up for his betrayal by ensuring that Fiona had a happy life, even if it meant keeping Charming away from power and allowing Shrek, an ogre, to become his son-in-law. Lastly, this theory also explains some aspects of Charming's behavior. He is desperately insecure and seeks the love and admiration of everyone around him, which can be seen as an attempt to fill the void left by the absence of a strong father figure. If Charming were truly the illegitimate son of King Harold, this would explain why he never received the paternal support he so desired, and why the only source of validation in his life came from his mother, the fairy godmother. Additionally, Charming's obsessive desire to take the throne can be seen as a way to prove his worth, to achieve the recognition and power he never had while living in the shadow of a secret. This desire to be king at all costs may be the reflection of a young man raised amidst lies and manipulations, someone who, unknowingly, carries the weight of a history of betrayal and conspiracy that shaped his life. Although the theories about Prince Charming's origin are intriguing, there are elements within the Shrek universe that weaken these speculations. Starting with the idea that he was created by the fairy godmother's magic, it is important to point out that, at no point, do the films suggest that the fairy godmother has the power to create life from scratch. Her abilities are limited to transformation and manipulation of fates, like changing the appearance of Shrek and Fiona, or preparing love potions. Creating a complete human being, like Charming, would require a level of power that has never been shown in the films. Moreover, Charming has complex human characteristics, such as insecurity and vanity, which do not seem to be the result of a perfect creation, but rather a human upbringing. Another issue that weakens the theory of him being magically created is the fact that Charming has an emotional relationship with his mother. He clearly seeks the fairy godmother's approval and shows a typical attachment of a real son, not of a magical or artificial creation. The way he reacts to his own vulnerability, his need to prove his worth as a prince, suggests a deep emotional construction, more in line with a human being born from a real relationship, not a spell. If he were merely a magical puppet, we would expect him to be less affected by human emotions, something we do not see. As for the second theory, which proposes that Charming is the product of an affair between the fairy godmother and King Harold, there are few concrete clues to support this idea. The film never shows any kind of personal relationship between Harold and the fairy godmother beyond the magical deal they made, which weakens the idea that they might have had a secret romance. Harold shows a clear preference for his wife, Queen Lillian, and there are no signs of an extramarital affair. Furthermore, the reason for Harold helping the fairy godmother seems to be a pact made to save his own life and ensure that Fiona found a happy ending, not any personal connection with Charming. Finally, if Charming were indeed Harold's illegitimate son, we would expect to see some sign of this in Queen Lillian or Harold's behavior. However, there is no indication of guilt or shame on the part of the king or queen regarding Charming. Harold, in fact, is reluctant to marry Fiona to him, which contradicts the idea that he is trying to make up for a betrayal. The coldness between Harold and Charming can be explained much more simply. Harold understands that Charming is not the best for Fiona, and his commitment is to his daughter's happiness, not to a prince fabricated by social or magical pressures. Both the theory that Charming was magically created and the one that he is the result of a betrayal between the fairy godmother and King Harold bring new layers of depth to the character and the story of Shrek 2. The first theory presents him as a magical creation, a perfect prince, designed to fulfill his mother's desires, while the second sees him as the result of a secret affair that would have shaken the kingdom's foundations if revealed. Both theories provide fascinating explanations for Charming's behavior and his desperate search for power and validation. By examining these scenarios, we can see how the world of Shrek hides complexities and secrets beyond appearances. And you, which theory do you find more convincing? Was Charming really created by the fairy godmother's magic? Or does he carry the weight of a royal secret involving betrayal and power? Share your ideas in the comments, and who knows, new clues about Far, Far Away's past might emerge.